What up today, guys? My name is Nicholas. Today we are reviewing possibly my favorite movie in the world, possibly one of the greats, Terminator 2. Okay, let's begin off with the fact that for those of you that don't know what Terminator is, it's a good sort of sci-fi, action, thrilled, horror-themed sort of thing. At least for the original two, the James Cameron films. Those other three, they can just go shut it. Anyways, but we're not ranking them. We're doing a review off the second one, so let's get into it. A couple years after. John Connor is a teen. He's living his life. He thinks everything's good. He doesn't know whether to believe his mother, or he thinks maybe his mother's crazy. Yeah. And then, we got Sarah Connor, who really does seem crazy in this movie. But she's not really. She's just a woman trying to save the world. But no one else believes her. They all think she's crazy. And that's pretty much how it goes. You have two Terminators that are sent back. One's Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know who he is. And the second one is just some cop. Is just some guy that turns into a cop. Also, I really like that analogy. Oh, should we trust this guy? He's a cop. Oh, no, wait, no, he's bad? Yeah. Anyways, moving on. First things first to talk about is that James Cameron is an awesome director. He knows how to do a sequel, and he knows that when doing a sequel, you make it completely different from the original. You don't do the same stuff. You don't do anything the same. Like the first one was like an action horror thriller, sci-fi thriller horror thing. It really was scary. And then when the second one comes around, it's different. It's a full-on sort of humorous, sort of humor type action-packed thriller. It's got some scary moments in it, but nothing that's like from the first film. And, this time, instead of a human versus a Terminator, it's the original Terminator, which is a good guy, which, by the way, is you turn the original villain into the good guy, and yet we love it? Yeah. Because at this time, in the year 1991, or in the 90s, Arnold Schwarzenegger was becoming a good guy. So, another thing that James Cameron did was well, let's take that character and let's turn him into a good guy. And, it really paid off in his direction of what he was taking this movie into. But nevertheless, where am I going with this? But his direction's great. He knows how to make a good sequel. Aliens is completely different from Alien because of what James Cameron decided to do, turn it into an action-packed thriller type of war movie. And that stuff is great. That's why people compare it to the original, because you just can't compare them. They're completely different. And same thing with Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. People clash it back like that because of how this film is. But ultimately, let's begin off with the characters. Let's talk about the characters. Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton, she's an amazing actor in this movie. It's basically she's got some PTSD coming back from whatever else happened. And, everyone thinks she's crazy, and she's locked up in a mental institution. And, she's trying to warn people and escape and protect her son. But, it's what really can you do with everything that's happened? No one believes her even after the incidents. Evidence has been covered up. And, she's just so depressed and ratchet, and she just brings out all the emotion, what it would be like to go through all of this. And then you have Edward Furlong as John Connor, and he's not the best character. His acting is I rewatched it twice, and it's sad to say that I can see why he didn't grow up to be a good actor, because his lines of dialogue are just But for a first-time actor who was literally approached on the street by James Cameron saying, hey, would you like to join in my movie, you know, like, have you been filmed before? And he's like, no, Mom, well, no. He does really great with what he's given, and most of the time it works, because not when he's high-pitched and yelling, but when he's doing something emotional, sort of, like when he's talking to the Terminator, and he's telling him about, oh, my father, and, you know, she's like this, and it really comes out. And when he's just being like a 90s teenage kid who's sort of annoying, but it works. It works for him, and it really brings out this idea of like, this kid is in all this danger, but I want to be that kid because he has a giant Terminator. And then also, the two Terminators. Like, in this film, if it weren't for the trailer, like, I'll probably put a link in the description below to the trailer so that you guys can watch it. But the trailer kind of spoiled what could have been an amazing idea. And same thing for Terminator Genisys. Trailers, they spoil everything. But the trailer really gave this idea of like, oh, like we're sending two guys back, and we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, you think he's a bad guy. We have this guy as cop, like you don't know who is the good guy. And in the movie, they really play off that, because when the Terminator comes up, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they give us that dun dun, like the like the killer sound comes on, and when the real bad guy, the cop guy played by Robert Patrick, you don't hear that sound. Like, you think, oh, he's a genuine good guy. He's asking for the kid. He wants a picture, you know. Like, he thinks he's fine. But then when the gun comes up, it's like, get down. And, you know, it really brings it all together. Like, wow, they were trying to set that up, and they pulled it off. Yeah. Robert Patrick, he plays a really good villain who doesn't need to talk. Like, you don't see that a lot. You know, he plays like a dun-dun. And he gives off this persona of like, oh, I'm the good guy. Now you're dead. Now I'm not the good guy. You know? And Arnold Schwarzenegger, just one of his best roles ever. He's the only character that I know you could see as the villain in the last movie. And then when he comes back, he's the good guy. Like, anyways, Miles Dyson. I really like this character, because Miles Dyson is a guy that wants to change the world, innovate stuff, and he thinks he's doing good. But then, like, no, you destroyed half the world with all your ideas. And now he's got this personal idea of like, I'm going to destroy everything. I have to save the world. That's all that matters. And, you know, like, it really comes full circle when, spoiler, he dies. And it's like, you know, you blew up. That's sad. But, like, you did it for a cause. And what you did was meaningful. Your death was, like, just so impactful. And it meant something. And that's sort of what all these movies go with. Like, they go with, like, don't take the concept of, like, time travel. Time travel doesn't matter. All that sci-fi junk, get rid of that, okay? Because although it is cool seeing the post-apocalyptic war and stuff, this movie focuses on our feelings and emotions of how we are with humans, of how humans are and what we do, and how we affect the world ourselves. And it really comes full circle. And James Cameron also did this movie because he likes the effect of what nuclear war is. Like, because we created them, and now it can destroy us. Like, although creative minds are good, it could lead to destroying us. And, you know, that's where it brings up the idea of, like, everything's sad, you know? Like, we can get scenes of, like, the Terminator smiling, and we can laugh at that. And, you know, you can have these good moments, but then you can have these depressed moments where we're talking about how humans are inevitable to kill each other, and, you know, we're not really going to survive. And it's just sad and depressing, and it builds up everything. Also, the cinematography looks great. Like, just, you're going into this, and you see, like, the old logo, you know, like, that brings up nostalgia, and But then, you know, you get into it, and when you look at the film, well, I have the special version, so I don't know if that, like, changes some stuff. But it does look like a film from the 2000s, like, the shot and everything. Like, nothing really feels from the 90s, except for the way the entire city looks, because I will say that, like, it definitely is 90s, okay? The arcade, everything. The deaths, the way they shot this movie is awesome. Every action scene is actually not done with CGI. So, like, the scene where, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's hopping onto a truck and they actually flip the truck over, they really did that. The only thing where CGI is in this movie, and my God, is it, like, amazing. Like, not because the special version makes it look amazing, but, like, when it first released, CGI is better than Terminator Genesis. Like, how's that even possible? A film from 1991, CGI is better than a film in 2015. Like, what? And, you know, like, James Cameron knew when to do it right and when not to do it right. He knew when to use CGI properly and when not to. Like, for the Terminator, he only used CGI for creating the Terminator, and then he used some practical effects that looked amazing as well, and somewhat didn't, but he also didn't show it that much to where he's like, okay, let's not show that much because that didn't look that real, but it worked, like, for the movie. And just the cinematography is great, the message and the story that it's trying to get behind, and at the end, when the Terminator has to kill himself after becoming John's father figure, and Linda Hamilton, you know, Sarah Connor just learning, like, a machine can learn to be human. What does that say for us? Like, it all builds up to this certain moment of, like, everything matters. Like, you know, just, like, you've earned it. And just the thumbs away, just showing, like, we did it. We have our own right. Like, we're able to, like, the philosophy and the mythology has been pushed forward in this movie a great deal. And just the philosophy of there is no fate, what we do with it is what we make. Oh crap, I didn't say that right. Please do not get angry at me. Oh God. There is no fate but what we make. Like, that is a good philosophy to tell in this movie that involves, like, just so much. And at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying it for any of that, it's just a good action film. You just have scenes where he's just flipping the shotgun, or, well, no, I don't know if it's a shotgun or a rifle. I'm pretty sure it's a rifle because that's just how it looks in me, but it's probably not. And, you know, you just have the action scene where, like, he's taking the minigun and he makes 0.0 lives, which, I mean, how can you get a half of a life? But other than that, it's great, okay? And the score is also very real. Because I went back and I watched the movie twice now. Yes, twice. That's how much I love this movie. I probably won't do that for other movies. But twice, because it really grabs a hold of me, because these certain scenes, like, dun 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 dun, you know, just, you can hum it, but, you know, you don't think, like, wow, that's a really good score, and it's emotional. It ties in with the emotion and what's going on there, and it ties in with, like, the effect of what we have on ourselves and what we do with our new technology coming to us. And, you know, the movie doesn't age, like, completely drastically, because it still has those philosophies and those things. And because the score helps build on that. Like when I said with the Terminator, like, we think he's the bad guy because they're playing that music and it clicks, but then when we see that he's not, that music doesn't play for Arnold Schwarzenegger, it plays for Robert Patrick's character now. We're like, oh, like, whoa. You know, and a lot of stuff like that, it changes around, and they do stuff with music and education. Also, really like how they were able to bring the T-1000 to life. Like, because I have the special version, and if you don't have the special version, you won't see, like, where his hand will stick to something, and then, like, it'll merge with that, and, like, it'll cover around that after being completely destroyed. Real way to bring the character to life and show that it's a machine, like, it's malfunctioning, you know? And then just the Terminator being able to learn just how to be a human. Learning why you cry and stuff. And it really brings back everything. And Sarah Connor, just in the scene where she's about to kill Dyson, but she doesn't, just learning, like, oh my God, I've become like these machines. What am I doing? Like, I can't do this, you know? And learning to love John and learning to be like this. Like, it all makes them just seem like one big family. And then the family has to get torn apart in the end. But yet they still stick together. And everything just, it works out great. The movie plays in a, even in the downtimes where there are no actions, you're still interested in these characters because he built them up to look awesome. And I mean, Bad to the Bone is definitely, that song is definitely perfect for trying to show off Arnold Schwarzenegger. And also in the beginning, it's really cool to see how he doesn't show either one of the Terminators killing anyone, and then when he gets to the movie, he starts killing people, like, because, well, that also ties into something that I don't really like. Here we are getting to the cons now. Just a little few nitpicky stuff, I feel like, because why would John Connor send the Terminator back and be like, oh yeah, when you go back, you can listen to everything my little self says, because, you know, that's great. Which makes no sense. Like, I just don't get that, you know, like, that's just one of my nitpicky things, because then it's like, okay, you could have killed these people, but now it tells you not to kill these people, and, like, it's good because it sets up some stuff, like, oh, like, you can't kill this person, it also makes some funny scenes and stuff, but then again, it also doesn't, and it also kind of doesn't flow that right. Now I can see why maybe those 3% of critics on Rotten Tomatoes were like, oh, no, you... Grr. But anyways, that's my review, guys. This movie, I give it a 10 out of 10, definitely. Just straight up 10 out of 10. But that's it. This movie, my first review. If you like this review, I'll probably do the whole Terminator series. Wanted to do the first one, but the reason why I did this one is because I was able to watch it with my brother. Yes, and it's rated R, but it didn't have any nudity in it, and my parents didn't mind if you saw a film with some blood and some action and gore, and they didn't really mind that, but if it got nudity in it, I can't do it. So I want to do the first one, but this one will have to do. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want more of these, I'm definitely going to do more of them. I don't care what y'all say. The reviews with the figures, I might stop doing, but these, I'm not going to stop, okay? I might rank these all one day, but for right now, this is what I got for you. 10 out of 10 movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Link in the description below to the trailer. And that's it, guys. And I will probably see all of you next time.